Darkness fears the break of dawn!
Valora. The Dawnbreaker is a strength melee hero that has a unique skill set that's based around her celestial hammer. Her first ability, Starbreaker, swings her hammer 3 times damaging enemies. On the final strike, she smashes the hammer down, stunning and damaging enemies in front of her. Her second ability, Celestial Hammer, hurls the hammer towards a target and damaging enemies along the way. The hammer holds for 2 seconds and will fly back to her, leaving a trail of fire that slows enemies. Dawnbreaker can recall the hammer anytime. In doing so, it will pull her towards the hammer and they meet in the middle. Her third ability, Luminosity, is a passive skill that will power up her third attack. It will crit and heal ally heroes within a 650 unit radius for the attack damage dealt. Creeps and neutral enemies will provide less healing. Her ultimate ability, Solar Guardian, allows her to enter fights anywhere on the map near an ally hero. She will jump into the air and drop down anywhere within 350 units of an allied hero. A pulsing effect will be present that damages enemy and heals ally with each pulse. Once channeled, Valoria cannot be stopped. For patch 7.29, there's a huge list of changes, but we'll go over the most notable changes. IceFrog went ahead and made a lot of map changes that include moving camps around and as well as moving trees around towers. They have added another new rune, Water Power Rune. It will spawn at locations only at 2 and 4 minutes. The Power Water Rune restores 100 HP and 80 mana when used. There are now 7 attribute slots in the talent tree that can be used for attributes instead of skills or talents. Outposts no longer give EXP during 10-minute intervals. Instead, it will now provide XP per minute. The XP will be granted at the start of each minute. Heroes will now start with 1 teleport scroll instead of 3. Heroes will now gain a teleport scroll on death, except for neutral deaths or a kill by Roshan. Roshan will now drop Aghanim shards in his second death. It will only take effect when consumed, same with the scepter. Couriers no longer have vision inside Roshan's pit, so no more scouting with couriers. Wards can now be denied from full health by allied players if the ward is placed in a spawn camp box. Here are some item changes. Share tangles will now expire after 40 seconds. Necronomicon has been removed in this patch. The Abyssal Blade no longer has a blink effect. Royal Jelly has been removed from patch 7.29. The Trusty Shovel will now grant an enchanted mango instead of a TP scroll. Onto the heroes. Bane's Shard upgrade has been reworked and now Bane's Brain Sap is a 550 AoE spell. Crystal Maiden's Shard upgrade now allows her to use Freezing Field while moving. Dragon Knight's Shard ability, Fireball, can now be used in melee form.
The dragon wakes.
Hoodwink now has a Shard ability and Scepter skill. For Shard, Hoodwink will create a decoy that scurries to their location. When destroyed, it will plant a tree that applies a lesser bushwhack on enemy heroes around it. For Scepter ability, Hunter's Boomerang is thrown and if it hits a target, it will return and apply Hunter's Mark that causes enemies to be slowed, take more damage, and less status resistance for 7 seconds. Invoker's Shard upgrade now provides 2 additional Chaos Meteors to land. There are a lot of changes, check out your favorite heroes to see which one got buffed or nerfed. Onto the team roster update for the DPC second season. Team Nigma has moved iLTw Omar onto the inactive roster. He is free to seek new opportunities. Nigma said in the tweet, Omar has contributed a lot to the team and the organization. He is free to pursue any opportunity he sees fit when it arises. With Wii gone, Nigma has added Igor iLTw Filatov as the 5th player. He's most likely to play the carry position. Last week, we reported Navi switched out Victor General Nigrini for Roman Ramsey Kushnarev. Earlier this week, in a now deleted Instagram story, General sounded his displeasure about the kicking. A day later, Navi released a YouTube video and said there was internal conflict and the best way to fix the situation was to part ways.
И как так, то что как бы произошла такая замена, как бы это неправда, потому что Как бы в команде с того момента, когда я пришел, как бы уже были определенные сложности, какие-то конфликты, но это все начали съезжаться на буткемп, еще какие-то ситуации, как бы они только набирали обороты, конфликты были, была не самая приятная атмосфера, особенно в последнее время. Сама суть как бы замены какой-то в команде, она уже как бы созревала.
То, что Гена сказал на буткемпе неоднократно, то, что хочет ливнуть из Тимы. Если у нас все так же продолжится плохо, будет плохая игра, мы будем плохо играть и будет плохая атмосфера. Учитывая тот факт, что команда деградировала последние 2 месяца, не было никакого развития, абсолютно никакого. Были конфликты у Роджера с Геной в одной игре из 3. Мы проиграли из 40 КВ 39. Не было никакого понимания, была худшая атмосфера. Поэтому было принято решение взять Рамзеса на место генерала во благо команды, потому что команда бы развалилась прямо во время турнира.
Tundra Esports has signed Jinjun Sneyking Wu for the upcoming season. He replaces Malta Biver Winter, who announced his retirement earlier. In Tundra Esports' statement, they said Sneyking brings in experience. We are extremely excited to welcome him to the team. We believe he is a natural fit into our missing role at the 4 position, and someone who brings a ton of Tier 1 experience to the team. In China, Liu Sylar Jiazhang makes his return and it's a return to Ehome. Sylar replaces Lai Ajit Jason. Over in Southeast Asia, ChYuan joined Fnatic. Sticking with the C region, in shocking news, Chen vtFaded Jai Hao has just received a ban for the remainder of the season and until the end of the International 10. The story goes, since PGL was running the Singapore Major, the qualifiers were delayed and the registration for picking up and dropping players came alongside the qualifiers that just happened. vtFaded originally agreed to play for Team Mystery in the lower division. However, he did not play for the Team Mystery as they did not compete in any tournaments during this period. The support player for Team D, who just got disqualified, Ponlo, chimed in on what happened. Team D asked vtFaded to play for the first time and he declined as he was on Team Mystery. Ponlo once again asked a second time and vtFaded agreed knowing he was still on another team. What vtFaded didn't know was that if he was able to leave the team or not. Team D says the rules were ambiguous and they thought players can leave after April 6th, the day of the roster lock. Ponlo said they tried asking another player, but that player had constant internet issues, so they went back to vtFaded, who decided it was okay and went ahead to use a Smurf account to play for them. PGL and Valve found out and decided to disqualify Team D, and Team SMG, who lost to them earlier, has now qualified for the lower division. And the last piece of news that's not so surprising, but long awaited by fans. OG finally announced the return of Anthony Anafan. He comes back for his yearly tour of the International, and OG is set to play in the 2nd season of the DPC this upcoming week. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week for more Dota news. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.